Hello friends. The title of this video is designed to be a bit humorous because it's a very American little phrase. I don't know that people from other countries would recognize it, but it comes from somebody who's about to roll the dice in a gambling situation, and for good luck they say, baby needs new shoes. Like, to the universe, let me win and I'll help my family with it, which of course is probably pure fantasy, but anyway, so it's a saying for good luck. But in fact, part of my purpose for paraphrasing that little idiom is that recently we got new tires for the car, and in the process of getting them, of course, I did a little research figuring out which tires to get, which tires would fit that particular vehicle, which tires had the best tread life, the best traction, lots of permutations. I learned that there are tires that will run flat, meaning when there's a puncture of the tire is still usable for up to 50 miles, which I had not realized that such things were commercially available and reasonably affordable. We didn't get those, but still they're out there. But I realized making all these judgments and compromises and kind of trying to understand what's available, through whom is it available, when is it available, how much does it cost, etc. It gave me an appreciation of a little area, a little niche of life that I know very little about and think very little about. And often, I've noticed, we go through life sort of taking a lot of things for granted. When something doesn't work, we don't. We sort of begin to appreciate, like if there's a huge pothole in the road, it's like, whoa, where did that come from? That wasn't there yesterday, last week, last month, whatever, and suddenly we have to deal with it and complain about it and so forth. But in the case of tires, it just got me to appreciate something. And my mind sort of went on a little fantasy ride of, tires have been around for a while. They're the 200th anniversary of a rubber tire is coming up in another couple of decades. 1845 was the first pneumatic tire, and the invention was patented in America here. And, it didn't finally really catch on until cars came in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And, tires became black when they added carbon fiber or carbon black to the recipe for the sake of the structure of the tires, and tires got treads in the 1920s, I believe. And just thinking of all those iterations, first somebody dreamed up, using rubber to inflate something, and then figuring out, hey, we could make wheels out of this, and they would have a little bit of cushion and give in them, and then figuring out how to produce them later and make tires for cars, and then on and on. I remember in the 1980s when I owned a pickup truck, a big pickup truck for work in the construction trades, and we had to get new tires for it because we were driving it every day and driving it through lots of, off-road, on-road, through winding roads. And I remember we used to buy fairly inexpensive tires because that's what we felt like we could afford. But I remember one time in particular buying fairly aggressive, knobby tires to get better traction in the snow and off-road and so forth. And they were really good for that. But on the highway, they whined. They sort of howled when you got up to 50 or 60 miles an hour on pavement, and which was an interesting little trade-off. They were also more expensive, and they also didn't last nearly as long as the other tires that we had had before that. So that was just an interesting sidelight to it. But it just helped me to appreciate that there are so many areas that have so much nuance connected with them. Somebody had to think up the design of these tires. Somebody else had to figure out how to produce these tires. Somebody else had to source the materials to get them to be able to be produced. Somebody had to ship and distribute the tires and warehouse them and keep track of the warehousing of them and decide which design changes were economically made sense versus the ones that were perhaps higher, super high quality, but also super high cost, therefore nobody would buy them. All of those compromises and nuances and intricacies of something that I never think of. And it just helped me to appreciate there is a lot going on in this world. And we may look at it through our, little set of blinders, but once in a while it's nice to sort of widen the view out, take off the blinders and just say, Divine Mother, I appreciate this world. I appreciate the amazing drama that's going on in this world. Thank you. Thank you for having someone in this world who can think about tires and create safe ones and good ones and reasonably affordable ones and et cetera, so that we can do things in vehicles without having to sort of worry about, are my tires going to pop or whatever it may be. Just let us be thankful sometimes for things that we never think about at all as a way of being an instrument for God's blessing in this world. Namaste.